We are at the end of Valentine's week. Yes, so it's a whole week. And we are in the kitchen again. We're talking about love and relationships. We've talked about self-love and intimate relationships. And hey, we talked about, continuing with that gratitude journal that, we talked about as part of gratitudes, and our journal of awesomeness. And we all are awesome. And it's good to remind ourselves every day of how awesome we are. You guys are awesome. High five. Welcome. And everybody, give yourself a high five and say, I love you to yourself. It's very powerful. So for today, we're in the kitchen, as I said. And of course, for love and relationships, it's all things chocolate that come to mind. So we are doing a chocolate truffle, but this chocolate truffle is good for you and it tastes good too. So there's no sense making this stuff if it's not going to taste good, because nobody wants to eat cardboard. And plant-based food gets this bad reputation that it tastes like cardboard, but that's not the way we do it here, because we want good food. All right. So you guys ready to rock and roll with the truffles?
I'm ready.
All right.
Yes, we're ready.
This is another easy recipe. We're just going to throw everything into the food processor, like we always do. So we are going to start with some dates. So the dates give us sweetness. And usually I will soak my dates for a little bit. You can do that to soften them up. These ones that I bought were quite soft to start with. I make sure they're pitted because that's just going to ruin your whole recipe. And the dates are sweetness, but the beauty of dates is that they are high in fiber. And so they are low on the glycemic index because your body has to do all the work to process the sugar. And so it takes a while for the sugar to get into your bloodstream. You don't get that immediate hit like you would get with refined sugar, where there's nothing to digest. There's lots of fiber here. So we get the best of both worlds. We get our sweetness, we get lots of nutrients and fiber. So I'm adding some nuts. So they are good in omega-3 fatty acids. I've got pecans here. And pecans, they tend to have kind of a lot of oil. So they're going to add some of the oil for this. I have some coconut flakes. Give it a little bit of coconut flavor. Not too much, but a little bit of coconut flavor. Of course, we have to add the chocolate. So this is cacao powder. And so I'm going to add that. Now, when you're buying your cacao powder, make sure it's raw. And also, the other thing you want to make sure is that you're buying free trade type and ethically traded cacao. The chocolate industry is one of those industries, like I think the coffee industry is the same, where there is lots of corruption. That's where you get these people that they're, got people working all these crazy hours. They don't pay them fair wages, all that kind of stuff. So make sure that you're ethically sourcing your cacao. A little bit of a surprise, maybe. I have some hemp hearts. Going to add a little bit more fiber and omega-3 fatty acids to it. So we've got some hemp hearts. We have some maple syrup here, just a little bit. No, this is vanilla. Sorry. Oops, my vanilla. You don't need maple syrup because we have the dates. So this is vanilla here to give a little bit of flavor. And here's another surprise ingredient. Here, it's a very bright blue green spirulina. So this is from Hawaii, the spirulina. And spirulina is comes from the it's an algae kind of thing. So it gives us, it's like a seaweed algae. It is a complete food all on its own, has tons of health benefits, and it's something you can put in. I actually take a little bit every day. And this is one way that you can add some additional boosting your nutrients without anybody knowing it. So this, you won't even know that this is in the truffles. So it's just a way that you can add and sneak in some nutrients without anybody knowing what you're doing. And then I'm going to add, just for a little bit of creaminess, I'm going to add a bit of avocado. So I've got my avocado, which gives us our nice oils, and the chocolate and avocado, as we know from some of our other recipes, like the chocolate mousse, go very well together. So we've got that, and that's it. Gonna put it in the food processor and process. I'll start with a little bit of pulsing, and then I'm going to let it just run for a bit to mix everything up and make sure that all the ingredients are processed. So I can see it's kind of sticking together a little bit, so that's good. Doesn't stick together 100%. And by the way, if you don't want to add the avocado in, you can actually make this without the avocado. It's perfectly fine without it. All right, so now I have my my chocolate. Now I've got my chocolate mousse here. I could make it a little bit finer if I wanted. So you kind of have to play that one the way that you want. And so what I'm going to do now is it's a little bit sticking together a little bit. I'm just going to make balls here. So watch your knife, I think. So I'm just actually going to turn this into a ball. Press it down and it makes a nice little ball. And there's a little truffle ball here. So I'm going to do a couple of them. The dogs want some. Must be somebody. The neighbors want some. Okay. So make the truffle balls here. And I can make, you can make them whatever size you want. You can, these are kind of bite size. You can make them a little bigger if you want. It's almost like those 2-bit brownies, you just get a little bit. And I'm going to do that. So we're going to leave those there. We're going to ask the dogs to be quiet. Finlay. Okay, Finlay. He's telling us that we're good. All right, let me put that to the side. And that you can, just the way it is, you can put it in the fridge if you want. And see how long they last with your tea. Hang on a second. Finlay, let's go. Come on, Finlay. There he comes. He's coming now. There. You think
They're trying to defend the truffles.
They are. This is what happens when you're alive. Okay. Let me move this to the side. But we're not going to stop there. This is not the end. We are going to make some glazes. So we're going to do 2 glazes, a white chocolate and a chocolate. See, these ones are bigger. I made those. And I had those in the fridge.
So that's where you store them because they have the avocado in them?
Yeah, I would store them in the fridge, all this stuff. The living foods. Oh, let me leave that there. Okay, so we're making 2 glazes. So the first glaze is a white chocolate glaze. So I have already pre-melted. So I put some cacao butter and some coconut butter into a little saucepan. It's not a lot because I don't need a lot of glaze. And I melted it. I did it on a very, very low heat. Now, all of this stuff is actually considered like a raw food. And so if you put it on a low heat, it'll be raw food. Once you get it over 115 degrees Fahrenheit, then you start breaking down the enzymes. So it's not considered raw anymore. And so that's why if I have a dehydrator, I can also melt it in the dehydrator. But I know a lot of people haven't got a dehydrator. So just on the very lowest heat that you have, you melt it. And then I'm literally just going to add a couple things to it. Oops, this is all right. Let me do this again. Oh, I lost track. This is what happens when you're live. I forgot to add the cacao or the coconut butter. So let me add that there. I was like, what that's on the side? So that'll take a couple of seconds to melt. And then I have some salt and some maple syrup, and that's it. So let me just go through the cacao butter. We used it for our chocolate on Valentine's Day, but I'll just show you again. So the cacao butter is hard, and so you melt it, and then it'll make a nice glaze when you and solidify when it starts to go back to room temperature, or you put it in the fridge. It will go back to being a solid again and give you that nice glaze. Now, coconut butter, I buy my coconut butter. You can actually make coconut butter if you just take coconut shreds. I did make it once, but it does take some time. So it's a little easier just to buy it in the store. So this is coconut butter that I bought. And it, again, is a solid. So if I dig around a little bit here, you can see that it's, I don't know if you can see it, it's a solid. It's not
it comes across.
Sorry?
It comes across as a solid, yes.
Yeah, it's not as, it's not like hard. It's a little bit soft. It's not as hard as the cacao butter. So it won't take too long to melt. Let me get that there. So the cacao butter is going to give us the nice a little bit of a chocolate flavor to it. And then we have the coconut to add another nice flavor. And it didn't take too long. We're going to pour that in.
And there's something about glazes that just, when it kind of looks like a more finished, sophisticated product.
Yeah. All right. And then I'm going to add my maple syrup. The dogs really like these truffles. So there's a little bit of salt and a pinch of salt and then the maple syrup. So it's only 4 ingredients and really takes nothing to whip up here. And so if I whip that up, then I put it to the side. I can pour it over. And if it will stick and solidify really quickly if the truffles are cold. So you may want to put them in the freezer first or the fridge before you you can pour. Hopefully I can pour it on. And I have a little rack that I've put them on so I can pour it on. And it'll have a nice like white sheen when it solidifies again. So it gives you if you can see, this hasn't solidified yet, but it gives you a nice sheen to your, can you see the sheen?
I can see the shininess of it.
Yeah. And so that will melt. And like I said, or will solidify. And if you have your truffle balls in the freezer, when you put that on, it'll really solidify quickly. So that will be, and maybe you could do a second coat if you want, but that gives you a little bit of polish, like you said, to your truffle. So then we're going to do another one because we can't stop there. So
if one is good, two is better.
Yep. So we're going to do a chocolate one. So this is maple syrup here. And I have just coconut oil, so no chocolate this time. Well, not chocolate in the, like, melted. So I've melted some coconut oil here that I'm going to add. Then I have a little bit of salt and a little bit of, I have cacao powder. So we're going to use more cacao powder for our chocolate. And then I'm just going to stir that up. And that will make a chocolate glaze. And, we made brownies last week. We did a chocolate brownie with some really great ingredients in them, like beans, no flour, no dairy, and no sugar or refined sugar. And so now we have a little glaze. So it's kind of as long as it takes you to get your 4 ingredients out and to measure everything and melt the chocolate or the cacao butter, or in this case, it's coconut oil. And then you have a nice little chocolate sauce that you can add on. Yeah, I'm just going to pour it. Let it pour down the side. Oops. And now you have this nice finish. And again, if your truffles are frozen or cold, then it will because the coconut oil will solidify as well, and you'll have a nice ball. Can you see that?
We can. Yeah.
Oops. Let me move this one because it's going to roll off. So we got.
I like the effect of the drizzle. I think it looks pretty. The fact that the drops are hitting it. I think it adds another dimension to it.
Yeah. And it'll add another layer, and like I said, it'll solidify. And then we have these nice truffle balls that you can have with your tea.
Yay!
Or serve to your friends, and you don't even have to let them know that you put spirulina in them. Nobody needs to know.
This one should probably be served in or saved in the fridge too.
Yes, I would put this in the fridge as well.
Okay.
Save them. So they'll last a week, or at least a week for sure.
No, they won't. No, because they won't.
Okay, well, if you eat them all, they'll last a week. But you're
Sorry
right.
to correct you, but
Question: the challenge is how long will they last?
Oh yeah,
The recipe makes about 6 of these ones that are this bigger size, and so probably about 8 to 10 of the smaller size ones here that I did. And you could actually just dip it in the chocolate and eat it like that.
Oh.
Yeah, I would just put the dipping sauce right beside it, Kathy. And keep going. Well, that will shut me up because I can't talk now.
Well, it looks lovely. It just looks lovely.
Mm-hmm. At least I think it tastes good too. So here you have a really easy way to make some chocolate truffles. They got all nutrient dense ingredients, all good for you. And you can whip this up in half an hour at home or
So,
less. I
so
challenge you.
for this, could you pop these into the freezer and just like they are right now, and then have because I know raw food, you're not supposed to make it so hot, but for freezing, is it okay to do that and just take it out like when you want them?
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, you could put them in
Okay.
the freezer and then just take them out as you need them or as you want them. So you can make a double batch and just ration yourself.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy enough to do. Yeah, for sure you can put them in the freezer. So some of the raw food stuff that we make, we do actually put in the freezer. Sorry, like you can make a nice cream. So yeah, definitely the freezer is okay. And the fridge is fine. It just keeps them fresh for longer, right? But yeah, so you're good either way, depending on how many you make and how long you want them to last. But yeah, this is easy recipe to put in the freezer and bring out when you just need a snack. I know, like our brownies, we made the brownies last week, so you could use the glaze for the brownies. But also, I put my brownies, some of them in the freezer because I know I won't eat them all. Or I don't need to eat them all in one week. So, yeah, and I'm saving them to share with a friend too.
There you go.
All right. Any other questions about our chocolate truffles?
No, I just thank you for simplifying it, because when you read these directions, it sounds very complicated, but
We're demystifying
yeah.
the recipes and how easy it can be. And that's what I found going through the Raw Chef certification course that I did, is that, I thought things were hard. And some things you have to plan, because if you're using the dehydrator, it takes hours. But there's less chance that you can mess things up. It's actually easier, believe it or not. So there's some good things to be said for the raw food, besides the fact it's good for you. I think a good mix of cooked foods and raw foods, staying with kind of plant-based, nutrient-dense foods, is good for us and good for our earth as well. All right. On that note, we will be back on Monday with the Daily Energy Bite Deb show. And next week, we're going to tackle sprouting. So get ready for sprouts next week. And if you have any questions, send me a DM or a text. I'd love to hear if you have any other topics you would like me to cover. But stay tuned next week. We'll talk about sprouting. Bye for now.
Bye.